Hi, everybody. Welcome back to our channel, to our podcast, to our series called Inside Marketing. Delighted, as always, to have another episode today. It's always a good day when it's a podcast episode. And today, really, really happy to be meeting with someone who's, really experienced marketing professional and someone who I think is going to be able to have really interesting conversation and bring really interesting insights to our series here. So today I'm with Robbert van der Pluijm, who is the head of marketing at Permutive. So a huge welcome to you, Robert, and thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me. No pressure. Um, yeah,
In the
thanks.
hot seat.
Yes.
No, not at all. No, I mean, I think the beauty of our podcast is it's very much informal conversation, and that's what's the most value. And it often just feels like we're having a conversation about something that all the time we're both passionate about, and that's what's great. But I think that's what's really interesting for people to listen to. So yeah, no pressure at all. And yeah, really happy to have you with us. I know from our previous conversations, there's going to be lots of different themes and things I think that we'll touch on today to do with all aspects of marketing. But as always, we love here to be a bit nosy at Inside Marketing. So we'd love for you to tell us a little bit about your marketing journey up until this point. I guess what's Inside Marketing been for you? Where did you start? Where are you now? And kind of like formative moments throughout that journey. So it'd be fantastic to hear that from you if you don't mind.
Absolutely. So my marketing journey began in 2015.
Okay.
I transitioned from education. So I'm trained as a teacher and
Oh,
a
wow.
trainer. So I transitioned to the B2B world as a field marketer. And early on in my career, I had the opportunity to build the field marketing function from scratch at two B2B SaaS companies.
Wow.
And yeah, this experience, I mean, it taught me really a critical importance of localizing your marketing efforts. An event of an experience in Germany is very different to one in the US. And also the nuances of engaging with different segments, from your mid-market to your enterprise clients, and how to design events and experiences that drive real business impact. So that's been a lot of fun. And as my career evolved, I expand into the wider area of demand generation or growth.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
really setting up, quite recently, I've been setting up initiatives around PPC, paid social, and developing
Mm.
a robust webinar program. And today I serve as a bit of like, I don't know how to phrase it, maybe a chief of staff of marketing,
Okay,
basically
yeah.
a strategic partner to the SVP of marketing, who I report
Mhm.
into, and I support high priority initiatives such as we're launching a customer marketing program or function
Mhm.
really. And we also are going to kick off, really, really seriously kick off a partnership marketing initiative, and
Okay.
they're aimed at strengthening long-term customer relationships. I think it's really quite interesting to see throughout my journey in marketing is that I've been part of marketing teams that have been asked to focus solely on new business, and
Mm.
then the pendulum swings again, and then it's solely
Yes.
about the customer. And it's good to see that we're finding more of a balance. And yeah, so it's really about long-term customer relationships, net dollar
Mm.
retention, and also growing new revenue streams via the partnerships. So that's what I'm focused on today.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, it's that age-old kind of tension between acquisition and retention. And I think I was having a conversation with somebody, I think in fact yesterday, who was, yeah, sharing some interesting ideas around that. And you're right, it's one of the many tussles in marketing, kind of brand versus sales activation or whatever argument we want to have. It's difficult sometimes to negotiate for working on things like retention and ongoing customer relationships, but ultimately like there's so much value there. So yeah, that sounds like a really exciting thing to work on. And so have you always kind of been in the B2B environment? Would that be largely where your expertise is, and always in-house then, so never really agency side?
Correct. It's been only B2B, and it's been only been in-house.
Uh-huh.
It's really interesting. I do enjoy working with agencies. I've always done it throughout my career. So
Mm.
when I started moving into the PPC and paid social world, I definitely didn't embark on this journey alone. So we definitely got involved with some excellent SEO and
Mm,
paid media agencies out there, and I think there's a true use case, like to get an
mm,
agency in. And I think I've worked on teams that had in-house designers, but also currently I'm working in a team that basically uses an agency, a design agency as well. So there are
mm,
different functions. And I think what's always been true throughout my career is that we've always worked with PR agencies. I think that's a hard thing
sure.
to replicate in-house. But no, I've
Mm,
never been on the agency side, but I've definitely worked with, continues to work with lots of them in
mm.
different marketing functions and specialties. So yeah, it's exciting as such. Yes.
Yeah, it can be great when you set up those really good partnerships and you've got that feeling that, the right brains are really on the right job sort of thing and everyone's well placed and that's always a good feeling. But no, great that you have such a kind of depth of experience in, client side or in-house. Different people refer to it differently, I guess, depending on which side you sit on. And within the B2B space. So I'd love to know kind of a little bit about your approach then in kind of B2B marketing and perhaps what you always bring to the table. What's your individual kind of take on a marketing strategy in B2B? Perhaps game changes that you always implement. Like what's your toolkit that you kind of bring to the table for marketing?
Yeah, I think what's really interesting is that it's an I guess it's something that we all know, but it's something
Mm,
only recently that I really started to act upon. Is and it's not rocket science, but it does require you to invest time and effort in all our busy schedules, and that insight is that as a marketeer, it is a core part of your job to mobilize your colleagues.
mm.
And what I mean by that is that we all love to send inspiring emails or give exciting updates at all hands meetings, but it's really important to actively engage with teams across the organization,
Mm,
and sales and customer success makes sense, but also product and engineering, I think. And what I think I've changed in my behavior in the last year is really start walking the halls, as is often is called. So having meaningful conversations. And what's really interesting about that is that with regularly walking the halls, especially when you start new initiatives such as customer marketing or partnerships marketing or different other big project or integrated campaign, it's really important to gather inputs,
yes.
listen. Then there's a decision that you make, and you make that obviously with the support of the senior leadership team. And then I think the third bit is really important, like communicate the final decision and communicate them directly one to one before with the people who you've gathered input from before you
Yeah.
announce it company wide. And I think what's really important and was often forgotten is that acknowledge their concerns that you've heard about it, explain why certain paths were chosen, and maybe it's not you haven't taken their advice on board but chosen to do something else, but show how you've generally considered all feedback. And I think closing that feedback loop builds trust and builds advocates. And because for marketing, it's really important to have the entire business on board when you launch initiatives that are driven by marketing but affect absolutely everyone. So I think
Yeah.
that kind of stuff and is often forgotten. So it's not rocket science, but really start to get into a regular cadence of interviews with your colleagues, interviews with customers, and it's not a one-off, and you definitely need to remember to close the loop before you go out
Mm.
and present your big idea.
Yeah, definitely. No, thank you for sharing that because I think that's so valuable and that's something that's almost one of those things that people would say, yeah, we do that, but
Yeah.
are you doing it properly? Is it just a one-off conversation? Is there any structure behind it? And I think it works both ways, doesn't it? Like you say, obviously you're getting the buy-in for your initiatives, but also like the sales team, people who are meeting customers, people who are in different departments hold such insight for us to use in our strategies. And if we're not having that communication, then we're losing out on, insights that are sat just next door. We're just not opening the door. So I think that's, yeah, really important. So I guess you spend quite a lot of your time then in meetings internally, sort of thing,
I,
and trying to well, trying to get that in the schedule when you can.
I do, and I think it is really important. And there's you create this community, almost internal community, to get things really going. Because
Mm,
another thing that we, I think, as marketers realize now, in that in today's climate, there's still economic uncertainty, and there's obviously the rise of generative AI, and those are two big challenges. And I think around, I do see the marketing budgets are starting to grow again, which is good. But
mm,
every dollar is still under intense scrutiny, and there's a stronger demand for to have like a direct contribution to revenue. And
yeah.
obviously, the generative AI is has flooded the market with a lot of content. So in the B2B space, it's hard to cut through the noise and stand out, right? So having these basically your principle of walking the halls is that then you can go big, because what I think how do we make an impact in this world is I think we should focus, and it's maybe a weird thing to say, but we should be doing less but doing it bigger. And I
Mm,
truly believe in that. And at our company, at our current company now, we've adopted a strategy called lightning strikes, and
okay.
this is a concept that's popularized by Dave Peterson and co-writers, and they wrote a book called Play Bigger, and I can send over the link, of course. And
Yeah, sure.
what this means is that for our company, every 6 months we rally the entire business around a high impact unified campaign. And it's similar to how Apple launched their iPhone 16 last week, a
Yeah.
couple of weeks ago. It's that Apple's one more thing moment, or obviously in the B2B space we obviously have a North Star that's like, how do we get so close to organizing Salesforce Dreamforce, which is obviously like this huge momentous thing that Salesforce puts on, and it's really really interesting to look at. But a
Yeah.
lightning strike isn't like just a product launch. It really is a cross-functional effort with all the colleagues, and it ties in
Mm,
together sales enablement, all your digital channels, PR, your product development, and it's all about getting your product out there, but also your clear brand message, and it's really
yeah.
energizing. But for us to commit to a 6 months cadence is really it brings you the immediate results that come from such a big campaign. It strengthens your long-term brand and market position, but it really focuses your team on delivering value for customers at that pace. And it's really how you can like start making a difference with unique and compelling messaging, but really cutting through the noise. Like, and it means with adopting this, it means that we're not able to do a lot of other things, but other
Yeah.
things feel for us are smaller, and that's the point as well. Like, we're not afraid anymore to do less, but do it bigger, and that's I
Mm.
think how I that's a big thing that I embrace in this world as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. I can almost like feel the energy and imagine what it would be like, during those lightning strike moments. That's such a great concept. And, we have such an asset, for our brand in our team, across all departments. And actually one of the best things we can do is exactly what you're describing there, kind of aligning everybody and having all of that energy channeled into the same goal. And again, that sounds like an obvious point. Yeah, everybody knows our objectives, everyone knows what we're aiming for, but do they really? And like, how often are we realigning that? And, there's so many different things that businesses are aiming for, so many different types of
Yep.
customers. So, actually, to get everybody together and say, right, we're all focusing in on this, that must be so powerful and good fun, I imagine.
It, it is indeed, and it's an expectation you set to your team, but then also to the industry and to your customers,
Mm,
and really, I think it remains for us. It remains a very important thing. The focus of what we present and what we communicate is focused on the customers and bringing more value to them. And we almost create a bit of a FOMO moment for prospects, so other people are like, oh, we want to
mm,
be part of this. How do we get involved? And
yeah.
it's really interesting. And then yeah, I think it is so excellent to see where you would almost say that the product team becomes part of the go-to-market team when you adopt something like this. And yeah, play bigger, and this whole notion of a lightning strike is really about understanding the concept as a marketeer that it's not enough to be the first in the category or be the first to launch something. It's
Mhm.
not necessarily enough to be better at something if that something already exists. It's about being different. It's about being
Mm,
unique and it's about creating white space. So that's why the lightning strikes is almost as important than
mm.
launching your products and explaining very well what your products are about, but explaining what the company is about. Who are what's your mission? What's your vision? Sure, but how? What are the people like who work for you? How do you actually go about creating products? Are you building a community with your customers, and how does that look like? So that's what the
Mm.
lightning strike is about, as much as it is about a product launch.
Yeah, really like just edging yourself to the very top of the tree by,
Yeah,
peeping up with intense energy towards one specific thing at a specific time. Yeah, I mean, yeah, amazing concept, and I love that idea. And I think that relates to, what you're saying about doing less but doing it well. I think that touches on one of the key challenges that's I think all marketers, or maybe everybody, but particularly those who sit in a senior marketing position, because there's an undeniable fact that there's so much to do in marketing. So, there's so many different channels and activities, and I think you can really get lost in the noise. So I really like that idea of just almost giving people peace of mind that it's okay to do less and it's okay to just focus on one thing and do it really well. And in the ground rush of all, new channels and platforms and technologies becoming available, I think people can get really caught up in that and start doing the opposite, which would be, lots of things not very well, and that doesn't really get you anywhere. But it's difficult, isn't it? Because other people are doing that, and so everyone's kind of looking at either side of them and thinking, "Oh, well, they're doing that, so we should probably get on that channel." And it's tough. I think it's a universal challenge.
absolutely, and it's actually it's actually quite funny. There's it's I think what you're discussing is also referred to like get me one of those or the GMOOTs.
Yeah, yeah.
When you do when you walk the halls like I just proposed, what you will actually get is basically a lot of opinions. And what's beautiful about marketing is that everyone has an opinion about it, and everyone is a
Mm-hmm.
marketer. Everyone wants to be a
Mm-hmm.
marketer, even if they don't tell you
Mm-hmm.
that they will be. And it's vital to listen. Like that's the whole point of walking the halls. But like you do get things like, hey, our competitor X is doing this. We should do that as well. Could you get me one of those? But it's really the first thing to realize when people say this is excellent because you have an engaged colleague who saw something and they want to bring it to you. Never shoot
Yeah.
that down. It's amazing. Like I mean, I think at the company as well we have implemented a marketing request board almost like. And
Nice.
what's really cool about it is that people need to understand that they're listened to and that they
Mm-hmm.
basically that it's positioned somewhere. We're thinking about it, and we might do it this quarter, we might do it next, or we explain why we're not adopting it. So one, it's excellent news if people do that. Secondly, is though listen very carefully, but ask for evidence. Like, okay, how do you
Mm.
think this will have an impact on what we're doing, and how would you prioritize this to this thing we're doing? And I think often you get to a point like, oh, I don't know, or we'll have to find out more. So that's a good way probably to handle it. But it's in a way, look at it as a positive thing. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, definitely. And that goes back to your first point, doesn't it? As of to get like together we are stronger, I suppose, and having everyone bought in just produces so much better results. So yeah, love that. Really, I love the idea of the lightning strikes. I'm sure people listening probably will maybe have similar concepts, or I've heard of kind of like an energy priority being kind of put to the front of the queue for a certain period of time, and I guess similar ways, but I'll definitely need to check out that book that you were talking about. And yeah, it's an interesting concept. So I guess in your role then you're managing a team. I guess there's quite a few of you there, and you're managing a bit of a marketing function. I wonder if like there's things that you specifically do with your team that you've found over the years to kind of be really key and really successful as a marketing leader. Anything from kind of a mindset to just things you do week in, week out that you find have really yeah, I guess changed the game for you as well in terms of team management.
Yeah, I think having I think it what we really look back on quite fondly is having QBRs,
Yeah.
the same as sales would do, or the same as other teams would do. And I think it's excellent to when you look when you organize these QBRs, is to ask everyone on the team to basically communicate their dreams about like what would happen, what would I like to do, like in the next 6 months or a year if I had no limitations on budget or no limitations on resources.
Mm,
We're starting there and really thinking hard about like, okay, what's the first step towards that? So I think it's really cool to um, give the give the option and leave the space open to dream and to basically set these aspirations, and then being very tactical about like, okay, how can we set a first step towards it, and then go for accountability. You know, like I think there are the stars on the team. I think they all they show themselves when they are given ownership, they're given
mm,
accountability, and they are allowed to experiment and if for it to go wrong or for it to go right and to adjust and to move on. I think creating that space is really important. So I think that's a great thing that we do, and the same goes for what's coming up soon for us and for many of us, late September, beginning of October. It's budget season
yeah.
for 2025, and I think as well like to really work with the team for to make this a bottoms up thing. You know, like for them to
Mm,
bring the aspirations, the learnings to the table, and to really for that to be the starting point. And I think that's been really. I think that's really a great way for people to feel ownership, to get motivated, and to go beyond what they're currently
mm.
doing.
Definitely. Yeah, and feel a connection to what they're doing as well, because you've got to have that motivation. And so I think, yeah, bringing in that real life kind of what pie in the sky, what would you do? And then, yeah, how can we connect that to what's literally on the to-do list for today? And, what progress have we made? Because I think that's also really important. And that sounds really good. So lots of communication and yeah, because I think that can be another challenge as well, kind of different, even just different areas of a marketing department becoming siloed. But obviously, within an organization, that happens a lot, doesn't it? Different departments not really speaking to each other. But I think it can happen within a team too, especially in marketing. We've got so many different kind of specialisms and designers and the paid team and all those sorts of things. And actually, to have that togetherness is so great for team bonding, but also for results, surely. So yeah,
And I think there's a point to be made about that. I mean, it's definitely true for marketing, especially when you work on big, hairy things, for it to be always cross functional or collaboration with other
yeah,
business units. You you can't create a project with just marketing colleagues. I think that's
yeah.
absolutely like impossible, and it happens, and we should stop doing that. But I think it's also right from within marketing, like I think it's easy for a product marketer or for the web team or for the designers to go off and do their own thing. But I think
Mm.
it's really important to say like for the projects we're working on, and again, we're doing less, we're doing bigger stuff. You have to work cross functionally, or else you're going to miss out. It's not going to be as excellent as it could be. So that's true for outside of marketing, but also within the marketing team for sure.
Yeah, definitely. You'll get looped in on something too late, and then we needed that conversation at the beginning of the project or at the beginning of the initiative. So, yeah, yeah, definitely been there. I wonder. So amazing insight there into like the things that really make a difference for you, and the kind of things that you individually do in your team to drive results. I wonder on the flip side of that, and it's not really a negative thing necessarily, but what you see as the challenges up against you in your industry, or perhaps more generally just for marketers. What do you think is going to be kind of what is big at the moment and what's coming up, and what do we still kind of have to overcome and find a solution for, in your view?
Yeah, I think it makes me think of a recent report by Forrester. So Forrester is gearing up Force Analyst company. They're gearing up for that
Hmm.
big sales and marketing event that's coming up in October, and they really they did a lot of research, and they found out that we've reached an inflection point
Oh,
where millennial and Gen Z buyers have now eclipsed baby boomers and Gen X buyers. So
right. Wow.
we've made the flip now, and it's not just in numbers but also in influence. So
Hmm.
I think it's interesting. Like there are different expectations, and there is more skepticism around how these buyers approach marketing and sales. Of course, I'm generalizing here, but we need to think about these things. And I think
Mm.
what stands out to me, and I think we haven't solved that yet, as marketeers and as a go-to-market organization, is that with these new buyers, there comes a huge desire for self-education and personalization. So,
Mm.
like we really need to answer the question whether we are facilitating a full self-education channel or journey across all our channels. Like, are we really allowing for people who are who are being trying to educate themselves around the problem or the space? Are
Mm.
we allowing them to consider the breadth of our product and services, and are we
Mm.
transparent? And do we give an insight into what users, what customers are getting out of it, or even better, are we actually bringing front and center user-generated content, peer reviews? Are we actually going out there, and are we really focused on making sure that that journey of self-education, are we making it personalized based on personas or based on region or solutions? Are we doing it truly, or are we cynically said, are we still trying to push people down a funnel as quickly?
Yeah.
We can give them a call, or we can, like send them a million marketing emails. I think I see a lot of positive moves around that, but I think it's going to be
Mm.
more, even more important. As I said, user-generated content, peer reviews, self-education, less gated content, more educational experiences where people can sign up to, and really making sure that salespeople or people in marketing and sales really become like almost a consultant. It's really
Mm.
it's really about helping people on that journey
Mm.
to get to a point like, okay, now I want to discuss how I can actually start using this product or feature because it's amazing and you win on all sides. I think that's something I'm excited about. That's why I'm also focusing on this um, customer marketing function. You can see as well,
Yeah.
like I think it's not a surprise that customer marketing as a function is one of the more recent functions to exist. I think lots of B2B marketing companies don't have this function.
Mm.
Is something that you can see as well, like that alliances and communities on Slack are just forming. It's really a new way of looking at things. Previously, it was said like, okay, what are you talking about? This is something for CS to solve. But customer marketing is really about obviously continuously delivering value to customers after
Yeah.
signing with you, but also creating a community and a community that delivers value to those customers with exclusive content, exclusive access to people, to all kinds of insights. Because then on the other side of the coin, they could say, okay, these are advocates, and they can then go out and be part of the user-generated content, leave you
Yeah.
testimonials, say something good, and then that feeds into your channels and your website again. So I think I'm really excited by that whole notion, and customer lifecycle marketing or customer marketing as a whole
Mm.
is really 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 exciting. And I'm really looking forward to the time where myself, of course, like we as a team, we purchase marketing software all the time. So we
Yeah.
review, we buy marketing software, and also I'd love to see more of that self-education and personalization come to the fore, which actually is sometimes really present at companies. Other companies are really at the start of their journey there.
Yeah, definitely. Well, if anybody's listening and wants to develop some software along those lines, then you got a couple of customers here. So yeah, I think so interesting what you're talking about, and that whole idea that more and more people are self-discovering their own way through their purchasing decisions, and how that's linked to the generational, split there, and what we have to do to respond to that. And it sounds like you guys are really kind of getting ahead of the curve with your customer marketing function. And I think you're right. I think a lot of people will follow suit with that. And is that then something that do you work in a way whereby you've kind of got a one key priority that you try to focus on, and you kind of set your sights on that and you lock on and you say, right, that's what I'm focusing on for the next sort of however many months? Or do you, I guess, are there multiple swimming lanes swimming at the same time? Naturally, there will be,
Yeah,
but
naturally there will be, but I think it is at the moment, um, it is helpful to basically have a big project. I would say if you're really thinking about building something new, something that
mm,
addresses the customer, that delivers value to the customer in a different way, is something that doesn't exist within a company. It has to be that single thing. Like the other
mm,
swim lanes could be supporting other teams or supporting efforts that are ongoing. But
mm,
I think I would, if you focus on more than one new thing to basically establish, it's going to be really hard to do that well. I think, yeah, I've always enjoyed, like starting these new projects, get to an established phase, and experiment, and then depending on the findings, you either continue it and then you hand it over, or you create this
yeah,
team that looks after it, or you stop it. And I think it's interesting as well to think about when budget season is upon us. I was talking to a peer of mine, and he said something really interesting. He said, when you start new things as well, especially, he says, like, okay, stay close to finance, stay close to your CFO, stay close to the finance
yeah.
director, because if this goes well or doesn't go well, like, you have to make sure that the budget is, that they understand why this budget was spent, and if we could expect a more budget to go to this space, because it seems to be working. And what's really interesting is that he scored a lot of points. He said a lot of brownie points with the finance team when there was a specific project which didn't work out that well, and he actually handed the budget back. And for a marketeer
Right.
to say, "You can have this budget back. Please spend it elsewhere," because I think that's
Wow.
what we do. And but then what he opened the door to, what I found really interesting, is that, like, then he gave himself the trust. They trusted him so
Yeah,
much, to give
trust.
himself opportunity to, throughout the year, even though he had a set budget, if there was an experiment that went so well, he had the guts and he had the cadence to go back to the CFO and say, "I know I have a budget, but this is working well. Here's a business case. Can I get some more?" And
Mm.
he's actually setting a sort of standard, saying, a budget is not set. A budget, I can give budget back, or I can ask for more, if we can just explain properly how this could deliver value to the bottom line. So I think that's
Yeah.
an interesting way of looking at it. Like, hey, it's not like you're bound to the budget you have, or at least it's different in all organizations. But I love the way that this marketeer was really open the books to your CFO,
Yeah.
open to whatever you're doing, give something back, and you can get something in return as well.
Yeah, definitely. And breaking that perception, which I think unfortunately lives on about marketing, where, but marketing budgets, where do they go? What can we attribute to them? What's the tangible that we got back from that? So actually he's doing the absolute opposite, and saying, I'm really hot on the numbers here. I can see this isn't working, so we're going to stop it. And yeah, that can only, increase trust. That's amazing. And I guess it also comes back to the idea of seeing marketing as an investment, not a cost, because really the things that we're investing that budget into should be returning, whether that's overnight, whether that's in 6 months and 2 years. And so therefore it should be like an ongoing thing, rather than just project by project, budget for one thing, box it off. It should be an ongoing discussion. Yeah, that's great. I'm not sure I personally would have had the guts for that, but kudos to him. And yeah, a nice way to kind of consider it. And there's lots of different, I mean, that goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning, really, all about relationships. Marketing is about relationships in the sense that it's about understanding people and understanding who we're selling to, but it's also about relationships, understanding who we're working with and how they work and what they need to see from us. So, yeah, very interesting, very interesting. it sounds like there's a lot going on, and you know you've got lots of projects and lots of exciting things kind of in the works. Over the next 12 months, what's the role looking like for you? Are you heavy on events? Obviously, the customer side of things is going to be big. Anything else kind of coming up for you on the horizon?
Yeah, I mean, we are close to hitting our next lightning strike, which
Oh,
will happen
okay.
in November. So that's really exciting to have that to launch that integrated campaign. And then really on the back of a lightning strike, you think about the next lightning strike. So
Yeah,
there will always be part of it. And I think I'm really excited to obviously see what comes out of like if when we start building the community on the customer side, like what kind of experiences, either in person or virtual, we can start kicking off. So
mm,
that will be interesting. And on the partnership side as well, like we're really trying to connect ourselves and align ourselves with, in this case, companies that have more impact in certain segments of the market.
I
So
see.
it's really about thinking about how we can have a win-win situation, and I think it's really interesting. The SVP of marketing, my manager, made a really good point of saying like, let's not rush into this. Before you do anything, you need to be able to explain why your partnership is unique and why they couldn't
Mm,
just swap us out for a competitor and it worked in the same way.
yeah,
If that's the case, we shouldn't be doing it. And that's a bold statement to make because almost see the revenue coming down, but it's really important that you're not going to get in a situation where you can just be swapped out, and you need to create some white space with this partner. You need to create some space where only you and the partner can live in together. So that's
yeah,
really exciting things to work on. And what will happen then is that we'll get involved in partner days, in events, and I think and also really thinking about the joint case studies and sales enablement, where both our sales teams are basically comfortable with selling each other's solution and understanding why this is compatible. So there's a lot of stuff to do on that end as well. So now it's really really exciting. But yeah, no, there's a lot of stuff going on around the November lightning strike. A lot of customers were getting involved in the preparation to that
hmm
moment. So that's really exciting.
yeah, really exciting. I mean, I guess it's like it must be peaks of energy, right? So the energy, the lightning strike is coming up, and you're kind of all preparing for it. But it sounds like there's so much. It sounds like an amazing culture because it sounds like that brings genuine excitement for the teams, and that shows that it's working, doesn't it? Because the worst thing you would want is something where everyone think, oh no, not another lightning strike. But actually it sounds like it's something that people really get behind because it's clarity, it's alignment, it's everyone working together, it's teamwork, and that's something that everybody loves. So yeah, what a great initiative. So good.
Yeah, it's really exciting, and of course, it's as you say, like of course it's hard. Like sometimes you have product development cycles that take longer, and
Yeah.
you know, like there's things when you develop products, there are unknowns, and there are things you
Mm,
have to deal with. But having that cadence of 6 months, setting the expectation is that like we promise ourselves not to move that date. But that's why it's also interesting to think about like it is it's not a product launch. It is a lightning
yeah.
strike, and that means that
Mm,
um, it's about presenting your category. It's about explaining that white space and explain to your customers like almost like customers they will tell us what they want, but we should also try to create a space of saying like, and this is what we think it should be going to, and creating demand from customers, and actually for customers to say, I didn't think of it that way. That's interesting. I want to learn more. Like
mm,
you cannot
mm,
only be reactive, which a product launch, which some part of product launch will often be like, hey, this is a much requested feature. Here you go. But it's more
yeah.
than that. It's about being that leader in the space. Like obviously customers in the B2C world, there's lots of examples. Of course, like no one asks for an iPad, no one asks for an iPhone, but like it's really
Yeah.
thinking about from that sense. So yeah, so that is better. So when you think about this lightning strike, it's not like, oh no, we have to have another feature or product or anything launched.
Yeah.
every single time. That's not what this is. So yeah,
Yeah,
important to
yeah.
remember. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, important. Yeah. No, it sounds honestly amazing. And I think that that will be a really good takeaway for anybody who's listening. Unfortunately, we have kind of come to the end of the time. And it's been absolutely fantastic to learn about everything that you do. And, thank you for kind of giving us some details on that. And yeah, talking us through the initiatives that you really think make the change. And it sounds like a really exciting kind of culture and team kind of togetherness. And that must be really, really a delight to work in because that's what all of us dream for, for all departments to work really well together and to be able to have that cross departmental collaboration. So, yeah, amazing. So, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing all of that with us, Robert. It's been really interesting to meet you. And yeah, just hugely appreciate you sharing everything with us.
No worries at all. Thank you for having me. And I will also share the links to any books I referred to today, so people can have a look if they want to.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Thank you. Anybody who's listening, I will pop them in the description below so you can check them out there. Fabulous. All right. Well, I'll definitely be watching and reading those things that you send through, and we will watch for the exciting things to come from the next lightning strikes.
Yes.
So great.
You
Well,
too.
lovely to meet you, Robert. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye. Bye. Bye.